On March 11, 2011, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the northeastern coast of Japan. The Fukushima coast was affected by this earthquake and a 32-foot tsunami. This was fatal to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, which was never designed to withstand such a disaster. The Fukushima plant comprises 6 boiling water reactors, 3 of which experienced hydrogen explosions. Official reactions were slow, as nobody anticipated the disaster, which soon proved to be the world's costliest ever at $235 billion. Until the present day, its consequences are still being felt. And in the 2 years since, what have we learned and what have we not learned? One lesson learned is the crucial need for cautious planning and thorough preparation. An abrupt evacuation had the townspeople of Namie in makeshift refugee camps. Here, a serious lack of preparation resulted in dangerous refugee conditions. Another lesson learned is the need to manage long-lasting consequences of a nuclear plant disaster. The Earth is contaminated with cesium-137 and strontium-90, which will persist in the soil for the next 300 years. Dumps had to contain it, and disposal methods had to be made. Next, nations have learned to create more stringent guidelines concerning nuclear energy production. Japan shut down all its nuclear plants for now and formed the new Nuclear Regulation Authority to create better regulation. The US Nuclear Regulatory Commission has adjusted its guidelines accordingly in light of Fukushima. Another lesson learned is the need for responsible actions by authorities. Based on premature assessments of the disaster, NRC Chairman Gregory Yasko recommended a 50-mile radius evacuation zone. This, combined with fierce media coverage, quickly spread paranoia among people. For example, South Koreans still avoid seafood today, fearing fish contaminated with cesium.
Unfortunately, there are also lessons that have not been learned from Fukushima. Nuclear experts fear that the Japanese authorities have not learned from Fukushima, where inadequate infrastructure could not withstand the natural disasters. Every day, 400 tons of water are used to cool down the nuclear cores. This water becomes contaminated and is stored on-site in temporary storage tanks, which are feared to be vulnerable. Nuclear experts assert that water is leaking from cracks into groundwater in the sea. Yet, while the Japanese authorities deny this, they still fail to clarify the issue. Next, even though Fukushima has highlighted the risks of nuclear power, some in the international community continue to intensify nuclear energy efforts. For example, France plans to further develop its nuclear energy capabilities so that nuclear energy contributes to generating more than 75% of France's electricity. Even the Japanese Prime Minister wants Japan's 50 usable reactors to restart as soon as possible after passing safety checks. Amongst nuclear energy organizations, instead of cooperating to treat irradiated lands and organisms, they contest who was to blame and for what mistakes. They even argue about which units of radiation to use, becquerel or millisieverts. Clearly, internal conflicts are still prevalent, creating disunity and massive distraction. In examining the lessons learned from Fukushima and the lessons that Fukushima has not been able to inspire, one clear conclusion is that we should never underestimate the dangers of nuclear energy production. The full-scale and exact trajectory of the Fukushima disaster is still unknown, but the nuclear fallout and the misconceptions that arise from it all point to a lack of complete knowledge about the disaster as well as the use of nuclear power in general. Nuclear energy is a possible alternative fuel that may be produced on a large scale. Moving into the future, it is essential we uncover and make known the risks and benefits associated with nuclear power.